start with the presentation. Emilia, the floor is yours. 1 second. Okay, please go ahead, Emilia. Emilia?
Yes. Hello. How do the EU institutions work? This is my first part of the presentation, and then in the second part, Roger Garbil will explain the policy making process, and especially will focus on the EU. So EU institutions overview. We have 6 main institutions: the European Commission, the Council of the European Union, and the European Parliament, which are working very closely together. And additionally, we have European Council, our Court of Justice of the European Community, and European Court of Auditors, which is also quite crucial for our community. So regarding the EU, 3 main institutions. The European Commission represents the general interest. The European Parliament is representing the European citizens, and the Council of the EU represents the member states. And I come now into details of the 3 institutions. What are the composed of? What is their responsibility? And so first of all, the European commissioners there are 28 commissioners, 1 commissioner per member state, which are appointed with approval of Council and Parliament for 5 years. When the mandate ends in 2019. And that each commissioner is assigned responsibility for the specific policy areas by the President of the European Commission, who is Mr. Jean-Claude Juncker from Luxembourg. Further, we have Vice President Maroš Šefčovič from Slovakia. He's responsible for the Energy Union. We have also Commissioner Miguel Arias Cañete, who is for Climate Action and Energy. And further, important also for the ENS community, Carlos Moedas from Portugal for research, science, and innovation. European Commission competences are very broad, because having the initial has the initiation of the new laws, manages EU policy and allocates EU funding, monitors the implementation of the EU laws and directives, enforces the EU law, represents the EU internationally, negotiates international agreements for the EU. When we talk about the European Parliament, I guess you took part in the different elections of the European Parliament, and also you had an opportunity to select one of the 751 members of the Parliament, which are elected for 5 years, so their mandate finishes also in 2019. They are structured in political groups and working with committees. So basically, their meet regularly here in Brussels. They have seats here in Brussels, but for once per month, they also go to Strasbourg for the plenary session. They work in public and decide according to majority vote. So here you have different. I heard that you don't have a good. Please use this mic. You need to give it. Sorry, we need to. Can you tell everybody that we hear that the sound is not very good. Try to cut the microphone. Okay, maybe let's see if it's better now.
let's try this one. Is there any comments coming from the?
Better.
It's better now? Fantastic. Okay. Good. So as I said, the members of the parliament are spread in the different committees responsible for different subjects. And as you can see here, this is the overview of the parliamentary committees. And one of the main committee, which is important for us, is the ITRE committee. As you can see, this is industry, responsible for industry, research, and energy. So the members of the parliament are distributed in different committees, and the ITRE committee is dealing with with our subjects. What are the European Parliament powers? So they're having three main powers, which is the legislative one. They are on the same level with the council, so they're involved in the legislative procedure, and they decide on governance, immigration, energy, transport, the environment, or consumer protection. It has also budgetary power. So together with the together with the Council of the European Union, it constitutes a special budgetary authority which decides every year on its expenditures and revenues. It also participates in the conclusion of international agreements and has also power of control, meaning that it's checking if the European Commission and Council they oversight these two institutions. So in the end, the citizens has some right and opportunity to oversight the other two institutions, which are crucial in the decision-making process. The other two institutions which are also involved and very important in the policy-making process are the European Council and the Council of the EU. There are two institutions where sometimes are mixed because of also the title, but there are two different institutions with two different responsibilities. So the European Council is composed of the heads of state or government of EU countries, and the heads of the state are meeting approximately four times per year, usually in Brussels, and together with the European Commission President, with the High Representatives for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, they are setting the political agenda. So they decide on overall EU direction and political priorities, but they do not pass the laws. They set also the EU common foreign and security policy. They also can ask the European Commission to deal with a certain subject or pass it to the Council of the EU, and they nominate and appoint candidates to certain high profile of the EU level roles. While Council of the EU is composed of the ministers from each EU country. So depending on the area where they are responsible for, they coming, for example, all the environmental ministers are coming to Brussels and discuss the climate target levels or other political decisions which are linked also to their responsibility. This is also Council of the EU is chaired by the rotating EU presidency. So currently we have Austrian presidency, which lasts for 6 months, and from January 2019 we will have Romanian presidency. And the council is composed also of 158 working groups. So one of the working group is atomic questions working group, dealing, as you can guess, with the nuclear energy and nuclear subjects. So it's basically voice of EU member governments adopting the EU laws and coordinating the EU policies. And they negotiate and adopt the EU laws together with the European Parliament, which is based on the proposal from the Commission. And they coordinate the EU countries' policies. They develop the EU foreign and security policy, which is based on the guidelines coming from the European Council. And they conclude agreements between the EU and other countries or international organizations. And it's important also to say that it adopts the annual EU budget together with the European Parliament. So you can imagine that each country of the European Union has its own representatives, permanent representations here in Brussels. And these permanent representations have their specialists in the certain areas, and they are also sent to the working groups of the Council of the European Union. So Atomic Question Working Group, for example, has its representatives of each the nuclear countries, I would say, and they meet regularly every 2-3 months, and they decide on the policies and especially discuss the implementation. Further, we have Court of Justice of the European Union. I will be very briefly. It's this Court of Justice with 1 judge from each country, plus 11 advocates, which are general advocates, and General Court, which is composed of 47 judges. And their competences is to review the legality of institutional actions for the EU, ensure that the members comply with their obligations, and interpret European law at the request of national courts and tribunals. So the example, good example is this Hinkley Point C nuclear power plant 8, where the Court of Justice refused the appeal of the Austrian they were checking if the Hinkley Point C NPP is correct with the competitional law, and it was stated it is. European Court of Auditors as the final institution that I wanted to present it to you. So it's composed of also from each auditor each member state has the right to send 1 auditor, which is appointed by the Council, and after the consultation with the Parliament, its mandate is renewed for 6 terms. 6 years terms. It audits EU revenues and expenditure to check if the EU funds are correctly raised, spent, if the money is achieved value for money and accounted for. It checks any person or organization handling EU funds, prepares also audit reports for the European Commission, national governments, and reports suspected fraud, corruption, or other illegal activity. And also, it is also important that it produces annual reports for the European Parliament and Council, and this is our kind of basis for the European Parliament and together for the Council to decide on the budget level. And it gives also an expert opinion to EU policymakers. So in a nutshell, I hope you heard me well so far. In the nutshell, the EU setup is EU's broad priorities are set by the European Council, which brings together national and EU level leaders. Directly elected members represent European citizens in the European Parliament. The interests of the EU as a whole are promoted by the European Commission, whose members are appointed by national governments, and governments defend their own country's national interests in the Council of the European Union. I added also 1 slide about the European Atomic Energy Community, because we talk a lot about EURATOM, EURATOM funds, and Roger will tell you later more about it, but I wanted to kind of make sure that we all understand what EURATOM is. So EURATOM was founded in 1957, just after the further European integration and tackling energy shortages through the peaceful use of nuclear power. It has the same amount of the members as the EU, and is governed by the European Council and the European Commission, operating by the jurisdiction of the European Court of Justice. So there are 5 responsibilities of the EURATOM, and so it regulates the European civil nuclear industry, it safeguards nuclear materials and technology, It facilitates investment, research, and development, and ensures equal access to nuclear supplies, which is the instrument for this is the European Supply Agency, EURATOM Supply Agency, and it also ensures the correct disposal of nuclear waste and the safety of operations. So the three instruments, the Supply Agency, Safeguards, and Research, are the three instruments that the EURATOM is working. Okay, now I give the floor to Roger Garbil, and we can have to switch the.
Okay, thank you, Emilia. I will try to give you a brief illustration of, let's say, activities related to EURATOM also, and some future perspectives. First of all, I would like to give you a brief overview of the EU decision-making process. So you probably know that at the moment we are in a very important time, because things are being prepared. They have been proposed by the European Commission, covering all the different activities, and one of them is related, of course, to research and EURATOM, in which I'm working for. So this, before, you probably know that the Commission proposal was made last June, but everything had to be prepared for at least 18 months, and this takes into account also all the assessments that have to be made to be able to do such proposal. So this includes, for example, assessments when it comes to research of all the European research activities, assessment at the member state level also, impact assessment, public consultation. So all this has taken place over 2017 mainly, and proposal was drafted early 2018 and published in June 2018. So this covers the multi-financial framework program 2021-2027, and one of them within this proposal is related to research activities. We call it FP9, and it will be the follow-up of Horizon 2020, but the name will be Horizon Europe. So such a proposal has been made to the member states, to the European Parliament, and also the European Council will have to discuss in cooperation also with the Economic and Social Committee. It is quite important to know that the Economic and Social Committee has a dedicated section, for example, related to transport, energy, and networks, the 10th section, and they will have also to provide an opinion concerning, for example, research activities. This will take place between now and the end of 2020 at the latest, because things have to be ready for the 1st of January 2021 for the next multi-financial framework program. Concerning EURATOM research activities, we have for its implementations call for proposals and work programs. So we have at the moment call for proposal open, so work program 2018, and there will be another one for the extension of EURATOM that is taking place today, and it should cover 2 years, 2019-2020. From next year, we will probably be already working on the follow-up, which will be the work program of 21-22 in the framework of the next financial framework. But we have also some challenges related to activities overall, but including also EURATOM research. You probably you are aware that there will be the Brexit taking place at the end of March 2019, and there will be also European elections. This means a whole renewal of the member parliamentarians, so members of the parliament. and there will be also at the end of 2020 renewal of the Commission and all its commissioners. So this is also an important time for renewal of our Commission representatives. So you can see from the proposal, and you have also a link at the bottom of this page, giving you access to all the texts that have been published. This is the overall proposal, the multi-financial framework 2021-2027. It will be in the proposal is of around 1,300 billion, covering everything, so all the different actions at European level. This is, for example, the single market, innovation and digital economy. You have it on the top left in orange. This is something like 187 billion for that. The second one on the left side in green is related to the cohesion and structural funds, for example. So all this is something like 35% of the overall budget dedicated to this. So this supports also a lot the integration of member states at European level and, for example, Central European countries. But there is also agriculture. So further down to, let's say in the middle, you have agriculture, natural resources and environment. This is another large part of our budget. And other activities, for example, concerning international cooperation. On today, we see also security and defense as one of the let's say priority for this proposal. Of course, we will try to have better simplification, better transparency, and allow also much more flexibility in this. So I invite you to look at the proposals and the different topics you are interested in. So now we will focus on the first one, number one, because this one includes research and innovation. Research and innovation is called Horizon Europe, so FP9. The overall budget is of around 100 billion, covering everything. So you can see open science, global challenges and industrial competitiveness, open innovation, strengthening the European research area. And one of them is also EURATOM. EURATOM, it is only for, let's say, fusion and fission research activities. And the proposal is of around 2.4 billion. This is the amount that is dedicated for the overall 7 years, but because EURATOM is limited to 5 years and then it has to be extended, the proposal is as such for the 5 years. You have two types of actions related to RTD, implemented by DG RTD, and another part is implemented by DGRC. So DGRC direct actions and the DGRTD indirect actions. The budget proposed for fusion, and there are many related to Eurofusion. So all the fusion organizations around Europe are working together around fusion and support also the implementation of ITER. The budget is 724 million euros proposed. And for fission R&D, so this is the unit where I work for, EURATOM within DG Research, the overall budget is of around 330 million. In addition, related to fission safety, research and safeguards, the GRC is looking forward to something of around 620 million. And you have to know also when it comes to research activities, an additional proposal, dedicated decision will be related to the construction of ITER, which is implemented through the Fusion for Energy joint undertaking in Barcelona. So the European contribution for the construction of ITER is going through the joint undertaking in Barcelona, and the budget proposed for the 7 years is 6 billion for the construction of ITER. So it is another order of magnitude as compared to the basic research that we do. But you have to know that this will be also one key decision. This should be one key decision for that. At the bottom of the page, you have all the references available if you click on the link that is put down. I wanted also to mention that as a European Nuclear Society member, you are always very welcome to participate to our project, to participate to all the different initiatives that we have supported during the previous framework program, and we try to capitalize within Horizon 2020. And this includes all the technology platforms related to waste management and geological disposal, for example, IGDTP, or reactor systems. We probably heard about SNATP, Nugenia, SD, and C2I. So all these are looking at existing technologies, future technologies, or application of nuclear for other applications, such as heat or hydrogen production, etc. We try to support European nuclear forums, for example, NF, or the European Nuclear Safety Regulators Forum. So all these are important, let's say, stakeholders helping us also, for example, for the implementation of the stress test and the peer reviews related to this, and the implementation of the directives that we have, for example, at European level, the basic safety standards for the protection of the citizens and the radiation protection workers or workers in the nuclear stations or in nuclear installations, the safety directive related to safety of nuclear installations, and the waste management directive, where you can see also lately a report has been produced for the implementation of the directive and the national plans, etc. I wanted to mention also the important work done in cooperation with ENS or NN, the Open Nuclear Education Network. All this trying to promote also research, education, and training, and international cooperation also with entities like IAEA, NEA, and the GIF International Forum. So all this is, you are all kindly invited to contribute, to participate, and to be involved within the research activities through the project or through maybe dedicated webinars or seminars or workshop or conferences. Just a few words concerning the details of the EURATOM research fission activities. So the proposal has been made in June, covering everything, and one of them is related to our activities. And this is more or less in line with what we are doing today and what should be done for the future. A key area is related to waste management and geological disposal. A second one is related to the reactor systems, covering existing nuclear installation, Gen 2, Gen 3, advanced nuclear systems for increased safety, Gen 4, fuel, closing the fuel cycle, activities related to the fuel development, like partitioning, transmutation, also cross-cutting activities like material simulation, nuclear data, and other application of nuclear. So this is another chapter of our activities. The third one is related to radiation protection and all those research. And the fourth one is related to research infrastructures, training and mobility, and cross-cutting activities, mainly related to international cooperation. And just for your information, overall, this is the trend that we have and should be let's say, followed in the future. Concerning budget, overall, 20% is dedicated to the first area, 40% to the reactor systems, 20% to radiation protection, and 20% to research infrastructures, training, and cross-cutting activities. All this is something like 50 million euros per year coming from RTD, but you have to know also that the GRC is complementing this with something like 50 million euros related to safety of safety research of the nuclear installations or activities. But also we have to remain modest. We really are here to ensure that we have a European added value, and our contribution is also something like 10% of the overall EU public and private fission investment in research. So a lot is happening outside of our European programs, and member states are clearly doing this on a larger scale, but we are here to really support this European added value and integration of the activities and research teams. So what should be the future? Well, you've probably seen the Nuclear Illustrative Program publication in 2016. Today we have something like 129 nuclear power stations running. These have usually 30, 40 years old, and this means that if we follow with a long-term operation, then there will be research activities supporting this. So long-term operation is mentioned as the extension of the existing lifetime of the nuclear power plants, and this will need R&D support. But also, if you look at 2050, decision will have to be made concerning new build, because if, as indicated within this illustrative program or the 2050 roadmap, the contribution from nuclear to the EU electricity overall is something like 27% today. The forecast is to keep it at around 25% by 2050. So this means that if you need to produce something like 100 gigawatt electrical on a yearly basis, you will need enough power plants in Europe, all around Europe, to supply this 25%. So this means that something like 100 nuclear power plants will be needed to run overall in 2050, if you make a quick average of around 1 gigawatt for each nuclear power plant. So this means that new build should take place if the roadmaps and the perspectives are remaining as such. The occasion also to mention that efforts have to be made concerning the human resources needed for not only keeping all these existing installation safety running, but you need also to build new ones. So you need nuclear experts, but this will be only 10% of the need, 10 to 15% of the need that you need for human resources in building nuclear power plants. So overall, what can I say? This is summarized with many, let's say, pictures here. We are covering safety research of existing installations. We are looking at also supporting future and advanced nuclear systems. Infrastructures are also very important in our field. Here you have a picture of Jules Horowitz. You have also the mention of Susan, for example, which benefited from structural funds for building infrastructures in the Czech Republic. We are mentioning here also the technology platforms. Advanced nuclear systems like Astrid or Mira. You've probably heard that last Friday the Belgian government has decided to fund up to a level of 558 million euros over 2019-2038, the Mira project. So this is clearly a big milestone for this project, this accelerator-driven system, because it clearly shows that the Belgian government now is committed to support the construction of this innovative infrastructure that will support partitioning, transmutation, but also radioisotopes and fusion research. We are also supporting and promoting the development of geological disposal and waste management. So this is IGDTP, and on the left side, bottom of your picture. We will have also support to low dose research and medical applications. So here you can see somebody getting into a huge MRI system. Infrastructures like Palace will probably be promoted in the near future. Fusion is a key chapter and requesting a large budget for the construction of ITER. And also international cooperation, like I mentioned, education and training. International cooperation with IEA, NEA are clearly important for us. Education and training and transnational access, mobility of researchers is also an important chapter. the occasion for me also to invite you to participate to the next FISA Eurad Waste Conference in 2019, co-organized by the Romanian presidency. It will be in Pitești in Romania, first week of June 2019. And this will be the occasion to make an overall assessment of what has been achieved through the European programs in the field of EURATOM fission research. And this will be also the occasion to to make some recommendations for the future. Overall, it will contribute to the discussions that are taking place between member states, the European Parliament, Council, and the European Commission for the future program that will start from 2021. Here you have the link for the ongoing call for proposal for EURATOM that we have. The closure will be on the 27th of September, so maybe some of you are fully involved in this one. And shortly we should have the extension of EURATOM and the publication of another work program for 2019-2020. So I thank you for your attention, and if you have any question, please don't hesitate. Emilia and myself will be happy to try to answer. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Roger and Emilia. Yes, yeah, we still have a bit time for questions. So if you have questions, please type them into the question section of your platform. While waiting for questions to come, I have a question. So if our participants would like to be involved in shaping the upcoming research framework program, what can they do?
Is it a question to me or is it a question?
Whoever feels you maybe, well, whoever wants to start. Maybe, yeah, Roger, you want to start?
But the question.
Can you just repeat the question because it was playing?
If our attendees would like to participate in shaping or influencing the upcoming research program, is there still time to do this? And if yes, how can they do this?
Yes, like Emilia said, today the proposal has been made by the European Commission last June, and this is being discussed within member states, within the Parliament, and also the Council. So the main, let's say, influences, if I may say so, are member state representatives in the different.
Excuse me, Roger. I think this is again the microphone which doesn't work. You need to switch microphones. So we unfortunately have only one microphone which works. It's like a little bit. So if you speak into.
All right. Can you
yeah,
hear me
now it's better. Yes. So it's a problem of the microphone. Yeah.
So like I said, proposal has been made and it is published. And let's say the main possibilities I would say are through national representatives. So you have usually member states asking experts from the member states to contribute, to comment any proposal, and this will report, let's say, through their representatives at the European Parliament. And within the European Parliament, we mentioned earlier the EEC committee, so one of the committees that will follow this and contribute to the negotiation concerning, for example, EURATOM research. The EEC committee, industry, transport, research and energy, is the main one at the European Parliament, contributing to the discussions and the negotiations. Within the European Council, it is the working group on administration. These are member state representatives, and usually it goes through the permanent representation of each member state here in Brussels. But also, if you have, let's say, participants within platforms, our platforms, or let's say, high-level representatives within the organization, they can always influence one way or the other the existing negotiations through the different channels we mentioned.
Okay, sorry. There's still something. I think there's still something again with the microphone. So Roger, if you could do what you, take the one that you had when you were presenting. I have
just using the one from the laptop.
from the laptop. Yeah. Okay. If you're speaking very closely, then I can. Then we can. So I have some more questions here. Question is: does the EU funding for reactor systems, so Gen 4, include the development of new fuel systems, especially focusing on thorium-based breeding processes?
Yes, the important is today that we are supporting advanced nuclear systems, which means also development of the fuel, and this includes everything. So there is no decision today to say no, we will not fund any of this. So the main thing is
All right. It seems that the microphone is playing up. So advanced nuclear system will be supported. Fuel developments are always included in the activities that we do. Thorium is not excluded. So yes, there will be possibilities for thorium if it is identified as such within the work programs that will be published. Today, it is present within the roadmaps that are published. It is not the main priority, maybe, but there is no exclusion as it is today. So, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So again, a question for Roger. Since 2050 goals means that there's a lot of new build required in the EU, what real steps are the EU or the European Commission going to do to help the operators build new nuclear? For example, backing up of a project with finance or something regarding the energy market price, like it happened in the UK, for example.
Alors, you mean in the terms of human resources or financing, or?
I guess it's financing.
Well, I would say the situation today is showing us that when it comes to new build, the UK contract for difference is maybe a way of supporting new nuclear. So this is already something that could support major investment in Europe. When it comes to human resources, challenges exist. Of course, member state will have to invest in human resources needed for such activities. At European level, when it comes to R&D, we try to do our best, but of course we are limited with the existing budgets today. Can we do more? It will depend if we manage to do more with the member states and the availability of the funding that we have and the different instruments that are available. But if there is a strong need from the member states to be mentioned today, then this is time to mention it within the negotiations before the finalization of the agreements by 2020 at the latest.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. We are nearly at the end of the time. So we will again share the link. So if you would like to listen again to the presentations, then you can do this through the link. And if you want to continue asking questions to Roger, please get in contact with me, and we are happy to share Roger's email address as well. I'm sure Roger will be happy to answer further questions. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. And so see you next time with the next webinar.
thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.